Hey everyone, this podcast is coming to you from the Psychic Dolphin Garage. You can support this show and our larger efforts to build a leftist community through podcasting over at patreon.com/Psychic Dolphin Garage. That's patreon.com/PSYCHICDOLPHIN Garage, which is spelled like it sounds.
Well, I don't know where y'all are, with your fucking canned iced tea, but this is Texas, and we have Big Red.
Whoa.
So,
wow, man.
Also the true comrade drink, am I right?
I think that would be too much flavor for me. It sounds like it's too much flavor.
Yeah, what's the flavor? Red.
It's a lot of it. It's big.
Yeah.
We have the big
big
red,
amount
folks,
of red
the best
in there.
red. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it's a cherry cola? I cannot legally describe it as a cherry cola.
No.
I found that stupid fucking piece of shit, dumbass body language YouTube channel some time ago, and I don't know what it was about it. I don't know whether it made me feel normal again, but I watched a lot of the videos.
and she makes some good points.
It is so bad. Like you're watching it. Like there's this one where it's like Conan and the other late night guy, Steven, and
Crowder.
Good old Steven.
Stephen Crowder. Oh god.
Who, for the record, has abysmal body language. That man looks like he's being held at gunpoint by himself.
I'm of the opinion that we actually should have given Steven Crowder that late night show he desperately wanted 10 years ago, and we'd all be better for
Absolutely.
it.
He would have just been doing music competitions instead of like having to go out and put a table out in public to get people
Yell at
to-
college students, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go like threaten to beat up women on college campuses.
Very cool and normal guy.
He's the classic example, I think, of people wondering, well, maybe the idea of government censorship of like YouTube and other digital media platforms isn't that bad of a concept whatsoever.
I mean, it's like his original problem was he just wasn't popular enough for anybody to even want to censor him. Like, he's very obviously a failed comic. Like, you can just smell the flop sweat and grievance radiating through the screen. Like, if you ever watch any of those panels that he's on at college campuses, like, the second he gets any, like, pushback or questioning from a member of the audience, he grabs the microphone and starts stalking the stage like a T-Rex or Velociraptor
Or like
stringing
fucking,
off like
Michael Richards.
Michael Richards had a stage presence, though. Like he may have dropped the N-word, but he dropped it onto a full room.
It was also like he also inserted the N-word into a full sentence. It wasn't just like safe spaces, Tide Pods, gender studies.
Yeah.
I have like a special hate for Steven Crowder because as is canon, I am black and white, and my white side's name is Crowder.
Oh God!
And like,
oh no,
he like exemplifies all that is the things I don't like about them. So it's like a big like rub in my face often, and I'm like, ugh. And I want to be like, I need to take it back, but that's like not even really my name, so I don't really.
Yeah,
but I just I feel it.
Yeah, you have to defend your clan's honor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you mention clan honor to Steven Crowder, he's going to get a very different impression of what we're talking about.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelton.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Bo.
And welcome to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. This week we have Minion Death Cult back once again in the garage with us. How's it going, y'all?
Hey, great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be in the garage with the Dolphins.
Still like the name of that show a lot. Still really into the name of this show.
It's not getting old whatsoever. It was not an ill-thought concept that is now just straggling along. And
Okay,
so,
between Minion Death Cult and Psychic Dolphin Garage, I think we know which one is better. Okay, it's the one with Minion in the title, obviously.
It's great for that SEO.
exactly.
Yeah.
There aren't too many people like clamoring around for like some cute dolphin-themed plush toys that their grandma gave them. You know,
You want to know some lore, some Minion Death Cult lore? When we were deciding on what to name the show, we thought about meme death of the universe, and I couldn't stomach having a show with the word meme in it.
Yeah,
So-
that has,
no.
pretty big like 2014 energy to it.
Yeah,
So
your gut was right on that one.
Well, I think it's
history
right
will
for a
look
comeback.
back and validate.
I mean, 2014 is only bound to get more popular as we get further away from it, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
It's true.
we're circling all the way around because I mean, people are now coming onto the internet having not heard about Minion or Rage comic culture, and now all the Wojak memes and everything
Are
else.
basically just that,
It's just over and over and over again. And you know what? I liked him the first time. I liked the remix.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it.
can't relate.
Despacito is my point. It is weird though to see just kind of like how it is the same old song played over and over and over again, and I guess that is going to have to work for the transition point to what we're calling the tweet of the week. And you guys know Gun Girl, I assume, whatever the fuck her name is.
Yes.
right?
I
Covered
know
her
you're going, and I'm
extensively.
excited about this. This is
Yes,
beautiful.
State Gun Girl Poop Pants.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, you'd think that she's that her being in the news is just her having another bad clip trying to interview people outside of the Libertarian Convention that she was at.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
surprisingly not. She started some beef with the Naked Philanthropist, which
We're not defending the naked
problematic stuff
philanthropist.
is exactly. There are no heroes in this story. Well, there's one, but yet to reveal herself.
Yes, yes.
She started beef with the Naked Philanthropist, and then another woman at Blair Witch Babe said, "Just a reminder, Gun Girl bought my nudes," and that started to blow up. And people, of course, asked for proof. And then, sure enough, it showed like, "Oh, Caitlin Bennett has actually, bought your merchandise, $50." And then
That's a good
people
package.
were like-
That's a good nude. That's an extensive nude package.
Yeah, quite literally
Yeah,
pulling
exactly.
receipts here. Yeah.
Honestly,
And this is as she's currently blowing up on Twitter for claiming that lesbian women want to have sex with her. It's really like
It's a
all
great
politics is sexual pathology. And specifically, then when it blew up, Caitlyn denied it, of course, and then she was like, "Oh no, that's not me. Look, it's just a random username. If you actually show it, it's a different display name and has a different logo." And people were like, "Oh, well that's pretty weird." But then it turns out that she forgot to unfriend her partner, husband, fiance, whatever. And
Right.
so it actually was then able to further confirm that it actually was her this entire time.
It's great.
I was just gonna say, I mean, she should totally own it if she
Yeah.
did it. Like nobody's gonna dislike her for that at all. It makes her seem cooler, and I don't know, more less of a freak. Like it makes her
Yeah.
seem less of a freak if she was purchasing nudes online. But yeah, I forgot she got married recently. She just got married, like I don't know, a few months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
oopsie-
obviously, there's your
oopsie-doop.
angle. Then these are an engagement present for her husband to be, or at that time.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, what if she's Polly, dude? Oh no.
We had to kick her out of the polycule because she kept shitting her pants. Yeah.
The best part about this was like Caitlyn Bennett was trying to slut shame the girl. She was like, calling the girl a slut for selling nudes, and like her tweet was something like, "Oh, you need to put that money towards therapy and clothes, you whore." So that's
Yes.
when like the Blair Witch Awesome Girl was like, "Yeah, remember when you bought my nudes?" And you're like actually down for you actually do participate and purchase nudes, and also you like women a little bit, which is pretty fantastic.
It's a solid.
This is just like one more instance of a libertarian like outing themselves as a total fucking fascist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what libertarian would not look at a small, self-motivating, self-sufficient entrepreneur selling their own nudes and call them a whore and disparage them?
Yeah.
What kind of a psycho does that? Oh, a libertarian.
Yeah.
Okay. Counterpoint. Caitlin
Oh,
Bennett is a friend of the working class. She didn't buy the $10 sale package. She didn't buy the $25 basic package. She gave $50 to this working class sex worker. I assume that she does it
Now,
at least part-time.
Counterpoint. She probably bought the extensive package because most bang for the buck. And then she probably commissioned her partner to then Photoshop her face onto that and then send it out to respective libertarian businessmen.
Yeah,
and
all
then
the,
try and leverage
weird
that.
boomers who are just incredibly horny for her, and that's
Yes.
one whole segment of her fan base. Yes. Wow.
She probably did the transaction, then forwarded the receipt straight to the IRS and, deleted the photos from her hard drive immediately without looking at them.
It's really weird that Blair Witch Babe sent me this in an exe file, but I'm gonna open it anyway.
Speaking of fucked up internet shit, cyber whatever. Yeah, I'm a person under the age of 25, not a million years old. That was a fucking banger of a transition. Russia's up to some shit, is my point.
Oh God, the old person's bringing up Russia.
Can I say my favorite tweet of the week real quick?
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
real
Go
quick.
for it.
Yeah, my favorite tweet of the week is the one of Bernie Sanders looking at the computer.
Oh, yes.
The meme of Bernie Sanders looking at the computer, and the other pane in the meme is a live obituary set from Headbangers Ball.
That fucking rules, yeah.
I like to think of him as being on the forefront of deathcore and death and
Oh yeah,
metalcore and shit.
That's a beautiful meme format in general.
Yeah, I mean, Bernie truly knows the difference between 1984 and 1985 Black Flag, and I think that's an important distinction.
Some people say there's too much core in there. Some people say there's too much metal. I think it's just right. I think it's fine.
Jesus Christ. What were you saying, though, Grandpa, about Russia?
Well,
what was happening?
What's Russia doing
The
to
thing
you?
is, the Hillary Clinton campaign was robbed by a bunch of guys on Twitter who DM'd me and said my hog looked weird. No. Yeah, basically the Russian government hollowed itself out and then put the organs back in upside down so that Putin could run for additional terms. That's more or less the entire story. It's fucked up and weird and not surprising necessarily if you followed his presidency.
Yeah, because at least as far as I understand it, he's reorganized it in a way that would limit the powers of the presidential position, which is what he currently holds, but it's actually to benefit him in the future, because since he can no longer be president, he's just making sure that whatever position he moves laterally into has then all of the same powers that he currently has. It's mind-blowing to me.
Pretty sure that happened in Oregon. Are you sure this isn't just a copy paste from the Oregon, or was it North Carolina that did it, where they took away the powers of the governor to do anything, and then they all left office?
Yeah, that was further east than Portland. It was when they elected a new governor, so they totally stripped the incoming Democratic governor of all his power.
Yeah.
I don't remember which state it was, but yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's almost kind of surprising that they did go through the motions of reorganizing instead of just saying, fuck it, I'm just gonna kick it here.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
It's so funny. It's so silly, but the thing is, they did this because someone's getting paid here somehow. People are going to make a lot of money off of this somehow.
Oh
And,
yeah, I'm
that's
sure
how everything
some
works
oil
in
or
Russian
mineral
politics.
company is gonna
Yeah.
make fat fucking dough off this, and Putin's gonna be the middleman for it.
Yeah.
But and this has precedent too, because I don't know how familiar with those craven Soviets as I am perhaps, but basically. These filthy Reds, what they did a few years ago, Putin, his current fucking VP or whatever the guy's position is, Medvedev, basically, so you can serve only 2 terms as president of the Russian Federation, but as long as they're not consecutive, you can then serve another 2 terms. That's not the cap, just 2 consecutive. So he essentially had his guy keep the fucking presidency warm for him, and then popped in for another 2, and now we're coming to the end of those, and I guess this is his contingency there.
Yeah, he's like
he honestly
subleasing the
just,
presidency.
Exactly, yeah.
And the entire reason I think that he's doing this is probably because his assistant guy, his crony, whatever, is just like, no, I mean, like, if we do it again, people are really going to start catching on. Yeah.
I like so this article that we're referencing is from CNBC. And I like, I don't know jack shit about anything else about Russia other than what I just read in this article 2 minutes ago,
Yep.
So I really like the idea of a like weird amalgamation of a tanky and also a lib who thinks that CNBC is imperialist propaganda that is somehow misrepresenting the actions of Putin, who is a communist.
Yeah.
I could totally see that existing, unfortunately.
What's really funny too is I wonder how they would have gone about this whole thing if there wasn't like so many eyes in the world on them just because of like the stuff with America. They're probably like really annoyed that they have to go through all these semantics.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's essentially
really?
the
They
closest.
just have to trick Trump. Like that's the not even trick Trump, but like they have to do it in a way where Trump's like, "Hey, pretty clever, sis," and then he admires it. You know? And he talks openly and he jokes openly about how he admires it.
I mean, Trump has set like a wonderful bar where all you have to do is say that you didn't do something, and that means you didn't do it.
There you go.
Which means that as long as, the Russian government is following the letter of their own law, then what is NATO going to do? What's the UN gonna do about it? Like, well, I can't believe that you would follow the letter of your law and, do something perfectly legal.
Yeah.
Well, see, he's also, though, like, we've all kind of forgotten, like, we all know, like, Putin's greatest hits, okay? Like, we all are familiar with the main band, but Putin's side project of trying to annex Belarus back into Russia just seems to be going kind of unnoticed, and that seems to be another thing that he's also working on in the midst of this shakeup. Is like, oh, well, I mean, since we're in the middle of restructuring, like, why don't you just come on back into the fold, precious country with resources that we can exploit and or send people to? It's just bizarre to me that we have this superpower that's acting in this way. And tying into kind of what you were talking about, Zach, it's not just that NATO's going to let this happen. It's the fact that he still is going to maintain a seat at the table. He's still going to be appearing at the G8 summit, and he'll probably be like giving some like weird quasi critique of Trudeau, being like, "Blackface is very bad." Anyway,
well, good.
So
he's
I'm
a
not,
communist.
like-
So what can I can't. My hands are tied.
No, really, like what as the left, what would be our response to something like this? It's not something you wage war over. Sanctions would really just hurt the people of Russia. Like how would you counter an authoritarian regime like both insulating himself and further empowering himself like this?
I think we just need to like send Pussy Riot back over there.
Yeah. Just a crack squad to take him out.
That would change everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that it is weird because this is exactly why he's going through all these super boring channels, is because then he knows that then there's no real precedent to do anything. It's just mostly annoying.
Yeah.
And then he also knows that he can just work within a restructuring of a constitution to then achieve whatever goals he has. So it really needs to become the idea of weirdly enough, electoralism in Russia to then try and change all of the aspects more locally surrounding it. And then trying to play more of a waiting game on that. Because he isn't really even necessarily that popular in Russia. It's not like he has this unified support or base. And so it's trying to make sure you have actions set in place on your end that then when he does do something bad, you can then act on it.
We can't do anything about it because we don't live there. And I don't mean that to sound like isolationist, like we shouldn't interfere in any other country. But like as leftists, we have to fix...
Zach is all for us interfering in Venezuela. Weird take, I know, but, you know.
There are certain countries that require, you know, a loving hand to help them back into...
With their lithium fields.
Yeah, we can't do anything. We have to build what we can here, and we have to, you know, once we have a regime established, once we have...
Yeah, we need to put America first.
This is one of those things too, though. Like, it might be being ignorant or like apathetic. But as a Black American, I really don't give a fuck about what's happening in Russia. It's like really low on my
to bother with.
It's incredibly low on my totem pole of things I'm like organizing and wanting action towards. And I know that might be me like not thinking about, you know, the people of Russia, but you know, I'll tell you this much: I haven't seen a Russian gunned down in the middle of an American street in quite some time.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we all remember the movie Red Dawn. They don't stand a chance if they come here.
Yeah.
We're going to
really
get the ghost of Patrick Swayze to come in. So
Really appreciate Tony putting it into perspective for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you, Tony, you know...
For some reason, I have this weird blind spot. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Pretty sure it's called the bleach spot, yeah.
Yeah, it's notable that CNBC is the one running this article, and I'm sure that every, you know, liberal news media journalism organization, Soros funded, of course, you know, are all covering Russia's restructuring, which doesn't really affect us because it's not our fucking democracy. So why do we care?
Have you guys figured out how to like file your Soros checks for taxes this year?
No.
It's complicated.
They
I don't
get dead
understand
dropped
how
to
to
me
do that.
by this dude in a trench coat and a big fedora in the park, which like it's cool because like boom, no taxes. Direct deposit would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
The great thing about being in a union is you can actually file a grievance when your Soros check doesn't come.
Oh, that's nice.
You file a green check, and then you get actually interest on the Soros check. It's pretty tight.
Damn.
Nice.
See, I have to go hunt down like all the actual forms because they don't just have them. You know, the library generally has all the tax forms you need. Soros forms, you have to find physical copies of them.
Sorry, you have to go inside the stand that holds the menorah at your local synagogue.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Each of the candles acts like a pin number that you just press.
There's a revolving bookcase nearby that turns.
Yeah.
It's fucking Scooby-Doo ass.
Jesus Christ. Liberal media is covering the Russian, the Russian restructuring, but what they aren't covering yet is the militias that are going to be swarming Virginia, or just the entire.
This should probably be said, you know, as a general disclaimer. We're recording this on Sunday night. The episodes come out Tuesday morning. The gun rally is being held on Monday. So
great
it's
timing.
kind of like we're giving like a reaction to the Super Bowl a week before the event happens. Like, man, I can't believe that sports team had that amazing play in the third quarter. It was mind-blowing to see such a comeback
There were all sorts
occur.
of touchdowns. It was really a game.
And that call, the commercials, right? Oh, it was beautiful.
The one
Just
with
say
the
the
dog.
Chiefs. It's the
one with the
Chiefs.
dog had me crying.
I really like the yearly Scientology ad that runs. That's always a good one.
And of course, like, you know, the blatant propaganda with the troops, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was all a little heavy-handed.
I mean, I like the main event, but I'm always a little more into the puppy boogaloo.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest.
God.
Just a bunch of little doggies in flak jackets and little Punisher skulls. Running around,
all German
lynching the
shepherds.
other pup, lynching
Jesus
the dogs.
Christ.
Yeah, this take on Paw Patrol is certainly different, to say the least.
The German shepherds have lynched the black lab for some reason. They're dragging it.
God.
Thanks for going Black Lab and not Pitbull. That's really I like that you. That shows that you really are aware.
On that note, a big part of why there's been a pretty big response to this, like, pro-gun organization, or around the online around the Virginia State Capitol, is because both the FBI and others have noticed, hey, there's a lot of neo-Nazis in this crowd of, and these are the biggest air quotes I can muster, libertarians. I mean,
crazy how that works.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely miserable. The news, at least as it currently stands, so we'll talk a little bit about that as far as we know right now. So hopefully nothing absolutely horrible has occurred in the 36-hour window between recording and debuting. But 6 members of a neo-Nazi hate group, the Base, have been arrested, and the Base is an accelerationist organization that's trying to basically push for race war and trying to become the next international neo-Nazi network. So not only are they neo-Nazis, they're also clout chasers, which I think is just equally bad.
Absolutely.
Kelton. I mean, but it is bizarre because one of the members that got arrested was a 27-year-old Canadian soldier who actually went AWOL. So we literally have an illegal immigrant who was trained by a foreign power appearing at a gun rally, making threats of violence and, in general, death threats. Like, this is a conservative wet dream. Just happens to be a boring-looking white guy, so
guys,
they couldn't give a fuck.
It's one of their guys.
Yeah.
True.
Just like any good sports team, like if your team is the one with domestic violence charges, you have to look at both sides. You have to let due process take over.
Yeah.
But it's just wild to me, though, that arrests have been made, and it takes a lot, I think we can all agree, for the FBI to arrest white supremacist neo-Nazi hate groups. Like, we're not talking about it was just vague general threats being made. Like, there probably was a direct plan of action being put in place, and it turned out that they had a man on the inside, and I can't wait for Catherine Bigelow to direct that movie and it to win like 19 awards.
Lee Carter he has death threats against him, and he's going to be ensconced safely in a safe house during the rally.
That's always good, that when it's
were these tied to these weren't tied to the hate group, were they?
No, totally different death threats, Zach.
Okay, all right.
As you see, with most things, bigotry contains galaxies within it, and we have to explore every possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we can speak on this with authority. Just like anybody can do a death threat. You don't have to be from a hate group. Like, your grandma is doing death threats against Ilhan Omar right now.
Daily. Yeah.
I am so glad that my grandparents aren't on Facebook, because it would make me be just pro euthanasia just immediately. Like,
Grandpa, your time is over now.
Yeah. Oh, what? You hit 75? Okay. Out to pasture. Jesus. But Lee Carter, he got a whole bunch of death threats, and weirdly enough, it was because they misinterpreted a bill that he was putting in.
This is so
because
weird.
the bill he actually wanted to propose would allow public sector employees to go on strike. So apparently public sector employees aren't allowed to go on strike. It's considered them quitting, which is just absolute bullshit.
Yeah, that's insane.
in general.
It's just really funny that a Democratic Socialist legislator introducing a law for public employees not to work has all these Ron Swanson type motherfuckers in a tizzy.
Yeah,
it's like, yes, no, that's what you want. You don't want these DMV guys in a job. Come on.
Yeah, it just, the bill got grouped in erroneously, like with all of this other anti-gun legislation, and so social media posts started to blow up, basically saying that if police, the only reason the police were enforcing the gun control legislation was because they were afraid of losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And then an article in Law Enforcement Today made the allegation that the bill was meant to punish police and pro-Confederate groups. I even tweeted about how the bill would allow Virginia to fire law enforcement officers if they won't enforce unconstitutional laws. So all of that's kind of just in general, bullshit. That's on the internet, crazy people stuff. Mm-hmm. It got highlighted then when the Wall Street Journal in an editorial said that Carter introduced a bill that required firing police officers who don't enforce a gun statute. Like, it hit the mainstream absolutely with all of, I guess, our parents. Our grandparents have lost to the brain rot on Facebook. But our parents, that I think in the most part, the Wall Street Journal is something that they are generally aware of, and they don't think to double check the sources on too often.
Or the New York Times.
And so the fact that something like that could appear, that's the thing that then was getting him all of these death threats, was that, it was verified in triple source, supposedly, in their mind.
That's how right-wing disinformation works, that they take something like Virginia has a massive amount of Second Amendment sanctuary cities, and
it's like 100 or something. 100
over
counties.
100, and they're really rallying around all this gun rights stuff, and so they just throw shit at the wall about gun rights, Second Amendment, and the ones that stick are never the ones that are maybe true, that maybe they could actually have an effect on and be able to effectively protect their gun rights. It's Lee Carter's gonna force police officers to take away our guns.
I think I figured out what actually happened, and what it might have been intentional or it might have been accidental. I think Lee Carter's legislation probably highlights the reality in Virginia right now, which is that an employee can be fired for not doing their job. That a public sector employee can be fired for doing their job, ... and this sucks. We're introducing this bill, and whatever, the right-wing media took that as a threat, just the reminder that this legal reality exists. They either took it as a veiled threat, this legislation wasn't meant to be legislation, it's just a threat, or they just didn't read the rest of the bill.
Are you suggesting that conservatives would jump to conclusions before reading the end of something?
Oh, yeah.
Come on now.
I mean, it took me a while to come to that conclusion. I had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of reflection. But yeah, I think that's eventually what I came to.
And like the true conservative I am, I just jumped to that conclusion automatically. So
people talk a lot of shit about that, but the thing is headlines, they're in a much larger font in a bold typeface. And that's easier to read, so that's all I'm gonna read.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I need my helpers. I need to put my helpers on when I read the rest of it, and it's just a lot of work. So your assumption that people only read the headline is actually very ableist of you, and I didn't think about that.
I didn't have enough spoons to finish that sentence in Lee Carter's legislation.
Public sector employees can be fired, says Dim Sock Bill. This bill looks to change this horrible legislation that is completely outdated and actually restricts the rights of workers.
Blah, blah, blah. I've already...
A new Chrome extension could be put in place. It's like Caps Lock, only it's called Font Lock.
Yeah.
It makes everything size 28 font across the board.
It makes the whole article a headline.
God.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh my god, oh wow, it just keeps going. But I actually made it to the end of it. I can't wait to get to what the article says.
and then you're right there in the fucking comments section, so that's great.
Oh no, I hadn't thought about that. The comment section is also 28 fonts. They just keep reading.
Oh god.
Oh, they
take it
read
back.
The comment section for sure. They only read the comment section. That's the best part. Is the comment section that's all they read. And they only read it because they go there immediately after reading the headline, and then they post the comment, and then they post the reply. They read the replies. So they completely go around the actual article every single time.
It's like in college when I would be trying to wrap up an opinion paper on something. I would just state the opposite in the most ass backwards way onto Reddit or wherever. and then people would explain to me 1,000 times how I'm wrong.
Yes.
And be like, "Thank you very much. I appreciate this copy." Perfect.
It's funny. I never got to do college. I'll do it one day. But my mom is actually going back to school right now.
Hell yeah.
And,
Hell yeah.
She was all like, "Hey, you want to make a couple bucks? Can you write this extra credit paper for me?" And I was like,
Fuck yeah.
I was like, "For sure. What is it on?" And she's like, "Just any character in history whose life was influenced by religion." And I was like, anybody? She's like, "Yeah, for sure, anybody. I don't care." I'm like, "Mom, I might get a little buck on it." She's like, "Do your thing." So I wrote this like sick ass article on John Brown.
Hell
yeah.
That's great.
She turned into this paper about like slaying white people, like about like murdering all the slave owners.
That teacher
and the bloodbath, and it was
respects
awesome.
her now. That teacher
Yeah.
respects her now.
Absolutely. No, like there was someone who was just like hearing some random bullshit about like how Christianity worked for Brett Favre and how what is that? What's that thing? Kabbalah with Madonna.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and then like there's John Brown just right there. Perfect.
So I really do want to do the whole. That did motivate me. That and your little life hack there. It's like, yeah, maybe I will do that whole thing one day because I got a good grade on it.
There you
got
go.
all the
See?
points.
Right there.
Yeah, crushed it.
Honestly, a paper is just a long form post. So really, if you can post, you can paper.
We could probably. I mean, and again, it would take like requiring pooling of resources.
Yep.
But I think Texas, if I'm not completely speaking out of my ass here, it's fairly easy to acquire a non-accredited higher education organizational status. And so,
Psychic
like
Dolphin University.
I like it. I like it.
yeah, well, see, I was actually thinking about Minion Death Cult University, but the mascot, because of copyright issues, it could be a psychic dolphin.
There you go.
It's just
Yeah,
it's a workaround there.
And we would have like MDC would just be like Minion Death College, and it'd be. But I do like MDCU. That's good.
That kind of slaps. Yeah, MDCU. Yeah, like I got my associates at MDCU. Flows perfectly as a sentence.
But it still stands for Minion Death College University.
It's both a college and a university. I mean, fucking, that shit's expensive. You're getting both a college education and a university education in one.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. I'm gonna love sending tuition forms to parents that read $311 per quarter.
It's so affordable, but it's all available online.
Why
It's
is every
affordable,
Why not?
but it's also really chill.
Yeah.
every class is 69 units? That's
Well, it works out, yeah.
All of the courses are just course 69.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Amazing.
Jesus.
That seems like the next inevitable evolution as we all get older. It's like we stopped doing that podcast, but now
Now we're,
I pulled a tweed sweater over myself.
We're not just
and,
drinking, we're educating.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think my dream, so, I don't have a lot of like bourgeois dreams other than to like, support myself and be happy and help others and whatever. But, my one bourgeois dream is to make enough money to buy my dream phone number, which is 909-666-6669.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I think with a university, if we owned a university, I think I could get enough money to do that. The only problem is I would then start getting all these scam phone calls from the people who have that number that I've given to over the years. It's a catch-22.
We're
My
just
favorite
seeing
thing
if you're
about this.
satisfied with your service. That's all.
There you go. Yeah. I just like that we just wrote the film Accepted in this conversation right now.
The last thing I wanted to mention before we became the new shtick that we're all gonna definitely follow up on is at this Virginia gun rally, the weirdest thing that I came across was a Washington Examiner article talking about how there is going to be an Antifa presence at the gun rally. And are y'all familiar with the Washington Examiner as an organization and news source?
Enlighten me.
Oh,
Kelvin.
yeah, we love them.
Yeah.
We absolutely love them. They're up there with redstate.org.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I was just like, oh, God, what are they going to say? This just seems, just awful. And then I start reading the article, and I'm like, son of a bitch. This was written by, I guess, someone like on their first week there. Because it was talking about how Antifa was actually there to march with the protesters because they also believe in gun rights. And it was educating people who I assume are chuds or the grandfathers of chuds, Chud Senior, about what was happening. Direct quote from it was, in the case of Antifa 7 Hills, they believe that they've got more in common with working-class white Virginians, regardless of their political bent, than they do with many of the moderate Democrats who helped their party win control of the legislature in November for the first time since 1994.
This is sourced from a Vice News article.
Yes. That's the other thing that made me think that, like, it was the person's first week on the job. Because, like, Washington Examiner citing Vice News, like, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, and Antifa 7 Hills actually released a statement pushing back against this. I have a statement specifically about the working class whites, quote.
Please.
The idea that we are, quote, finding more in common with, quote, working class whites was language chosen by the author. In our perspective, the working class is a global one that is predominantly black and brown. We have only ever used the language of the broader working class and how gun control serves to weaken our defense positions. We understand how this could lead to feelings of betrayal and that we are somehow stepping away from aligning ourselves with marginalized communities. We are not. The larger piece, I can send it to you guys in a link if you want to include it in the show notes or whatever.
That would be great.
Reading.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, the larger piece just speaks on the idea of helping, quote, libertarian and other, maybe right-wing organizers for this event that's coming up actually eject the fascist elements that are showing up. Now, you can argue that there's an inherent fascism to libertarianism, but I think the 3%ers have tried at least a few times to distance themselves from white nationalism recently, which is good. And I think any efforts to expose fascist strains in one particular event is good. And there were going to be left groups attending this rally, not in a formal capacity, but as a either observational capacity or as a alternative capacity to the obviously far right rally that is happening on Monday in Virginia. They were going to basically offer a socialist alternative that is
Crazy
in
how that
favor of
works.
gun rights.
Yeah, I
Is in
can't
favor.
wait, for establishment Dems to be like, well, yeah, I mean, but let's try a third way counter protest, okay? That's going to be the thing that we can really do and try and
So,
take over. That
yeah.
would be a fascinating link, and we'll for sure be adding that then into the show notes. So please send that over.
Will do.
That one was tying directly into, I think, a larger discussion that should be had in general. I think anytime something like this comes up in the news, of how the idea of painting, number one, Democrats as being actual leftists is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then specifically about the right-wing boogeyman argument that leftists want to take away people's guns and they want, no one to have any guns. When I think a good summation point would be to leftists want to arm the people and not the state.
Yeah.
Explicitly, at least.
And and all people too, not just the right people. Say the base might be inclined to do.
Yeah, well, and this is also kind of an attack on the vote blue no matter who kind of mentality that the Democrats want to have. How it's like, oh, hey, remember how Antifa is now abandoning Democrats because they want guns and also violence, even though we helped, Democrats helped win the party control in November for the first time in 20 years or whatever. Yeah, that's
Thanks
bad.
to good old Blackface McGee right there, just helping carry the torch for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, has Virginia, with an all-Democrat legislature, like a supermajority or whatever they have there, a Democratic governor, have they done actually anything good?
Of course not.
It's Virginia.
Of course not.
This is literally this gun control action is literally just like a distraction from the fact that they're going to like continue offering tax breaks for corporations and I don't know, get whatever they fucking do in Virginia, giving licenses to continue mining coal dangerously, or
Yeah, it was kind of overshadowed by the whole new Amazon headquarters in New York, but they've also got one in fucking I think it's Richmond, right across the border from DC. There, I forget how Virginia is laid out because I don't think about Virginia all that often.
Conveniently adjacent to Langley.
Exactly.
For some reason.
And that's gotten zero fucking attention, and the state government's giving them a huge fucking tax break. So
I've said it a million times, but the only good thing that Virginia's ever done was give us the clips, and specifically Pusha T, not so much Malice. Fucking sell out.
Yeah. What was the rest of Virginia? Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Malice, Pusha T.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. That's the lineup right there.
Yep.
Hey, thanks a lot, Train, but I don't think I'd like to meet Virginia.
Yeah. The whole...
That's a bad song. You should listen to it if you haven't heard it in a while.
What a sales pitch.
Oh, no, if you wanted a self-pitch, I'd tell you to listen to That Awful Sound episode on Trains Meet Virginia. But I don't do that on this podcast.
Yeah. There certainly is a larger discussion to be had on gun rights and gun control, especially as leftists.
Yeah, but we can save that for, Music Theory 1301 at Minion Death Cult University.
1369, you mean?
Well, see, no, the problem with Virginia is, it's economically depressed. There ain't shit there to do but cook. Fucking
Cook meth.
It took me a second, yeah.
It took me a second to summon up a fucking. Anyway, yeah.
All Virginia know how to do is cook meth, attend military academy, and lie.
All right, classes are starting. So our fucking spring semester's off to a slow start. Expect them in March, February. Who fucking knows?
March, February.
February.
I'm really excited about starting Millions of Dead Cops University, guys.
Yeah. Jesus.
I was really nervous about this whole thing on Monday, but being as that Conor McGregor won the fight, I don't think they'll be as pissed going to the rally.
How fucking it's awful to me, by the way, that in a year where we don't have to deal with the goddamn New England Patriots, Conor McGregor finds his way back into the sports scene and dominates the headlines.
Hey,
can we not just have this one?
Yeah,
how the fuck did that guy's name just get Cowboy? How did you get your name to just be... I don't know anything about MMA, really. I just saw his name was Cowboy. I'm like, how did that work? And, Conor McGregor is so awful that this guy named Cowboy seemed like the good guy. This, MMA... It's white MMA fighter named Cowboy. I was like... I don't know what's going on, but I want him to win because I fucking hate Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I'll root for Cowboy.
Yeah.
One of the worst Kid Rock songs. Yeah, totally.
Can I? Well, he does say I can smell a pig from a mile away.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
true.
tight. Can I read the boomer take on the Virginia this Virginia legislation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is our wheelhouse on
bringing in
Minion
a
Death
little.
Cult,
Bringing a little MDC.
Charlie Dietrich posts in Conservative Rebels for America. Figure that group name out if you got a second. We better all, quote, pay attention to this article. Read the whole article. These Dems are going to require the cops to give up their jobs if they can't abide by the gun laws when it, quote, changes. Parentheses. This Saudi guy in Florida who shot people up on the airbase was in a gun-free zone. Right caret for some reason. On an airbase, he had a gun. End parentheses. Tilde. Parentheses. See? When guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. In parentheses. Taking guns from the good guys, comma, doesn't ever keep the bad guys from obtaining a gun. Let's all vote Trump in 2020. Exclamation point, tilde.
God, I really love the fucking screen reader edition of this, because if I didn't have that fucking punctuation, that punctuation is like the sweetest seasoning. Holy shit.
I haven't figured out a way to inflect a tilde in my reading yet.
Well, you could kind of do that like anime pervert thing they do on Twitter, where it's like you give it a little bit of ooh-woo, you know?
Yeah, it's like a little like self-contained SpongeBob case or something. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys over there in California have heard about what Red Yard Austin does.
Yeah.
Is, or what they have become.
Yeah, absolutely. Stand in solidarity with Redguard. They're Nazbols, right? We like that on this show.
Well,
actually, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Keep in mind, I'm here in Austin. To anyone who may be listening as I record this.
I mean, I think if you have a gun, you're okay. Like, they're not going to do anything.
I think if I have like a bat, I'd probably be fine.
Red Guards in Austin are just cops, or they're the most like the worst stereotype of American Communist Party members that think that they're really hardline about like something that someone wrote somewhere and said was super hardline, but nobody actually ever wrote that anywhere, but they wouldn't know because they don't read.
Red Guards are like they're like the leftists of leftists. Like they're like how leftists spend a lot of time like attacking liberals rhetorically, at least.
Yeah.
Red Guard just spends a lot of time attacking democratic socialists or social democrats.
Yeah.
Instead of like actual cops or whatever.
They also spend a bunch of time discouraging, black and brown communities from any real sort of pragmatic organizing, short of just complete and total revolution.
So are they anti-union as well? Because I know they're anti-DSA, and I know that they also disrupted like a United Auto Workers meeting.
Would not be surprised, honestly.
They're anti-trade unionism as a platform, but how that manifests is just being anti-union pretty much in every way, shape, or form.
I can't imagine they're like affiliated with IWW, because that's the alternative to trade unionism, right?
Yeah.
Like
I'm sure. Again,
I don't think they are.
If you're a Red Guard person, like leave a comment and we will
leave a
absolutely
leave a fucking voicemail. Please.
leave a voicemail. We'll play it on Minion Death Cult and fart.
Yeah,
make fart sounds over
if we get a fucking 512 voicemail, I will cream my jeans. I promise. Jesus. No. The reason we're talking about Red Guard in the first place, though, is basically recently some folks, allegedly Red Guard, assaulted a DSA candidate for Congress, Heidi Sloan. Busted a bunch of red eggs on her head, which I think is kind of cartoonish, as far as like, oh yeah, we're a very serious leftist organization who rejects bourgeois electoralism. Also, we're gonna egg you like it's summer camp.
Eggs are cool when they're directed at the right targets.
True.
Like, I don't know anything about this particular candidate. You said that they're a DSA candidate.
Oh yeah. In fucking Austin, which is killer.
I believe that they're also actually a member of the other organization that we kind of want to contrast the Red Guards to, which is the Rose Caucus. And a lot of these DSA candidates that we see on Twitter, online, Josh for Congress, Rebecca Pearson, I think, is another one. I'm trying to pull up names that I remember from Twitter. I'm not on Twitter enough, though. But a lot of those...
Boner Hitler 69, of course,
true.
honorable congressman, hailing from the great state of Virginia.
Yeah, all these people have formed kind of like... what Kelton said it was like the DCCC. It's like just it's kind of like a PAC. It's just an organizing committee that is not necessarily a part of the DSA, but is designed to help the DSA, kind of separating the campaign system itself from the party platform.
Is that different? Because I know that there's like a bread and roses caucus within the DSA that is. I mean, it's not a joke. Yeah, that's like
the Rose Caucus, at least
perfect.
from my understanding, is to act as a caucus within the congressional body, as opposed to within the actual DSA. And so they're pushing forward the idea of a platform itself. They call it the People's Platform. If you go to their Twitter account, they have a link to the Google Doc, which I think that would be cool on Slow News Day to actually, go through and talk about. Not that there will ever be, because it's 2020, so
what the fuck is a slow
we all
news
live in
day?
hell.
It's true. It's current year.
And so the idea, I believe, is for it to grow into a DCCC alternative option, at least, for more left-leaning candidates. Like, for example, an AOC, who, instead of giving the $250,000 or whatever the amount was to D-Trip, could instead then give that money to an organization that technically might fall under the Democratic Party, but it would be pushing for DemSoc ideology, which is just an interesting approach to it, ironically through electoralism. And it's a nice way to contrast what Red Guard versus what Red Caucus is, or Rose Caucus is trying to do.
It seems like a good time to start it now that, like, AOC. I mean, I actually haven't read the story. I like AOC a fair amount. She's had some a bad take here and there, but her denying money to the DCCC or to the Democratic Party in general is fucking rules. It's
Not
like
paying those fucking $250,000 dues and
that shit
that's
is
fucking
great, man.
absurd, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all stemming from the fact that D-Trip would then spend it on establishment candidates that would be running against the people that she ideologically is aligned with.
It's literally it's giving money to oppose yourself. That's so silly. Why would anybody want to do that? Yeah, so big ups to her for that.
Actually making a difference in the world. Who knew?
And I don't know, it's like the whole Red Guard thing, like they're what I know of them, what little I know of them seems to be just they exist as an anti-electoral action force.
They're anti-bourgeoisie.
Well, sure. I mean, if you're like electoralism is like bourgeois, that's fine. But like, you can make a conscious decision to like direct some of your efforts towards bourgeois electoralism. Like, it's a strategic effort, and I think that there's merit in that. I don't hear about Red Guard Austin feeding their people. I don't hear about them organizing strikes. Would they organize a strike since they're anti-trade unionist?
It's interesting you talk about strikes because when the government was on shutdown for a while, they actually temporarily dissolved.
Oh right, no, that was a year ago about, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't believe I didn't think to mention that. Fuck me, yeah.
Jesus, I mean, like, that's already a meme, right? Red Guards as cops, but holy shit, I mean, I didn't know about that part of it.
They made a post that was like the most like fucking dorky, try hard kind of thing. It was, this project has reached its conclusion, which it's like, dude, just say like, you don't have a desk anymore, or you don't have an office anymore, and you're at a desk with everybody else. Like, come on.
Just say we don't like austerity, but for different reasons than you.
Fuck. Electoralism is not the end goal. Unionism is not the end goal.
Yeah, it's a fucking multitude of approaches that, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. And to, egg some random fucking DSA person because they're trying one thing, and it's corny as fuck.
On the one hand, I'm like, okay, at least they didn't pull up to her with guns.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, rob her or
Shoot her.
Shoot her or whatever, because that's happened in the past. I mean, there's that video of I can't remember the exact context, but there is like a protest action happening on the side of the road, and it's a leftist anti-imperialist protest, and I think it's a pro-Palestinian protest, and the Red Guards showed up to, quote, liberate the Palestinian flag from DSA ? I don't think it was DSA. I think it was IWW. Yes, I think it was IWW. I think it was a direct action against people involved in IWW.
Yep.
And they, quote, liberated, like, the Palestinian flag from the IWW at gunpoint.
We're the true leftists, and we're here to liberate this flag because our hands are clean of your bourgeois politics.
Yeah, and so, I mean, like, I'm glad that it was just eggs. Like, it still sucks to be egged by a group of people and humiliated. Like, that's fucking awful. I think it just shows that we need our own security. That's all I think it shows.
Yeah.
Damn, that's actually all right. So the Psychic Dolphin security.
It's just
Private security forces 2020.
MDCU, in a fucking golf cart drinking beers. That's it.
Yeah.
If we arm these security guards, they'll actually run towards the sound of gunfire, not away from
Yeah, exactly. Gunfire. Yeah, no, we escort students to and fro class at the end of the day, and other than that, it's just us fucking pounding steel reserves and tooling around in a golf cart. That sounds amazing.
Don't worry,
the Minion Defense Contractor Union.
Oh no!
Shotguns are involved. There are shotguns, but by that we just mean chugging beers very fast.
Yes.
Well, I think that's going to be as good a transition point as we can
Those
have.
are the takes.
From security forces into the game this week. What did the cop do?
Oh no!
So, yeah, the I'm going to read what a cop was sentenced with or charged with or whatever, and you have to guess what the cop did. The first round is a cop was not charged with anything. What did the cop do?
Oh well, this is kind of a fucking blank slate right here.
Yeah,
that's right.
The cop planted a gun on someone.
Cop planting a gun. Bo?
Jacking off in a movie theater, Paul Rubens style.
Interesting.
Free my
I like
man
it.
Pee-wee. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's been out for a while.
Free him again. Give him a get out of jail card.
I'm going to assume that the officer found themselves in the kitchen of somebody, and person in the kitchen was chopping vegetables, had a knife, cop had to execute them because of the knife, and it was self-defense, so there was no charge. That's that's what I'm assuming happened with the cop.
The life was endangered. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For the listener at home, Tony is in fact a vegan chef, so I think he's just like premonitioning his own death.
That is how I'm going to go, yeah.
The last dying image you have is diced portobello mushrooms falling to the floor, a la Usual Suspect style.
He had a brick of tofu. He was going to throw it at me, and I was going to grow tits.
No, you guys don't understand. He was a Satan worshiper.
Yeah.
Not sure where the accent falls on that word, but yep, sticking with that joke.
We saw him. He was doing just undescribable things to baby Kale. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, what I think the cop was doing, I think the cop borrowed a skateboard from a black youth and did a kickflip on camera, which should be illegal, but they did not get prosecuted
That
for
should
it.
be very illegal.
So it's a heartwarming story. Okay.
I've said it before, but if a cop ever asks to see your skateboard, focus your board. Snap your board right
Break
there. Send me the video. I will buy you a new deck. But focus your deck right there before a cop can kickflip. No kickflip cops. None of those.
Yeah.
Can I take a survey of Psychic Dolphin Garage real quick? Did you folks know what focus your board meant before Tony used context clues?
Not at all.
To describe.
God, I'm so sorry.
We don't have public transportation. How do you expect us to have public skate parks?
If you look at my Twitter feed, the stuff that has the worst feedback belongs to a small world called Skate Twitter, and it's a bunch of fucking nerds who make really vague references to really stupid skate video or skate things that only 3 of us get, and we're the fucking nerds. It's bad. It's bad.
I just think when we do the show, either Minion Death Cult or Psychic Dolphin Garage here, Tony is playing to an audience that is not us.
No,
he does not care
just
about the vibe of the group. He is specifically in it for himself and his group of skater nerds.
It's me, and I'm hoping Mike Vallely hears it, because he focused a lot of boards.
Look, Tony is more dedicated to his brand than any of us are.
The Intersection here, of course, is a podcast about the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, which, hey, when are we fucking starting this up? When are we canning whatever dumb idea we had with Psychic Dolphin Garage, and it's like, yeah, it's just Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I don't care that there's like 5 of those games. We're fucking making it happen.
I just assume that everybody
Twitch
likes skateboarding.
Tony Hawk Underground.
Oh, that's true.
I am actually really fucking good at Tony Hawk.
We've talked about this and we never did it. We never did it, but I feel like I could beat you in that, but we never got the chance. We'll do it eventually.
I won my friend's childhood WWE Toys Championship belt off of a game of a Tony Hawk Underground. He didn't necessarily like agree that was the prize, but I felt like it was
Yeah, you just gotta took it.
Yeah, and justified it with, well, I beat you in Tony Hawk, so, get good and I'll give it back.
My whole life is awkward.
We would just play skate, and it would be like, okay, you just chill while your friend does a, 8-minute long trick.
Which rules?
That game was built for stoners by stoners, and we have to just appreciate that ethic, made with consumers in mind the entire time. Alex, did you have a guess for why
he was doing propaganda, which should be punishable by the wall.
Yeah.
I disagree with it. But
Sorry. I forgot the inspiration for the tangent there.
Yeah, we went off. It was an entire tangent inspiring fucking,
The cop was passed out drunk in his car in the middle of a road with the engine still running.
Okay.
So
not all cops.
So not all cops are bad.
Yeah. I'm glad we reached a consensus here. That dude fucking rules.
Right, was it his
way
car,
that cop
or
could
was
be
it
cooler.
a patrol car?
Oh, it was a patrol car.
Oh, shit.
Okay, only way that cop could have been fucking cooler is if there was a fucking hose hooked up to the exhaust, looped around his Otherwise, though, cool fucking dude.
There was a cooler cop who actually did OD on heroin in his own cop car, to which I say, hey man, nice shot.
The one officer-involved shooting that I'm into, yeah.
Jesus.
Fuck me. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, being a cool dude doing other cool dude stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
man. Sometimes you just gotta fucking, kill a couple natty ices and, you forget that you're supposed to sit on the side of the road, baiting people for speeding tickets and not in the middle of it.
Hey, sometimes dudes rock.
Sometimes dudes rock.
The best part is like they use the same defense for him that they use for like executions we see. They were like, listen, he works long hours. He's under a lot of stress. He's gonna need shotgun a couple brewskis, have a little whiskey in his coffee. It's the same exact lines that they use when they, knock on someone's apartment door and shoot him point blank.
Well, consistency is key.
I am
here.
shocked by this double standard. Yeah.
All right.
Next round here, y'all. A cop received a 6-day suspension. What did the cop do?
Ooh.
I'm going to take a real shot in the dark here. Posted a pro-Trump meme on Facebook and was revoked of his First Amendment rights by the craven and dastardly Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, maybe a 6-day suspension from Facebook.
Yep, that's how they meet him out in 6-day. Fucking. Yep.
I admire your optimism. All right, Alex, Tony, Zach.
I'm going to say that he got a American front tattoo live on TikTok.
Yeah, just getting that, right there, just right on the forearm as "Call Me Maybe" goes on loop over and over again.
They're like, it's going to take 6 days for people to forget about this.
Yeah.
The cop was involved in a high-speed chase that he wasn't supposed to be. He wasn't supposed to be continuing to pursue the suspect, but he kept up the pursuit, and he ended up rear-ending them and pushing the car off of a bridge. and he was suspended for the entire amount of time it took for them to recover the car and the body.
To be fair, the cop did say he was just playing car billiards. I guess.
So did they like only suspend him so he wouldn't keep like ramming the car in the meantime while they were looking for the body?
They didn't want him to.
Thing.
Yeah, they didn't want him to ram another car, so they had him with the people looking for the car and the body.
Brilliant.
I'm gonna assume that he basically just like left his phone unlocked in the break room, and he got a Grindr notification, and that's it. And they were all not cool, dude.
Well, I hate to break everyone's hearts, but the reason the cop received a 6-day suspension was that they used a ruse to locate a hit-and-run suspect. The ruse included that although a crash happened that was a minor fender bender and no one was injured, the unnamed officer told a man that a woman got injured in the crash, was in critical condition, and may not survive her injuries. The guy was so overcome with grief, he then decided to take his own life. And
What?
so,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so they were like, man, that's 6 days. Come on. Yeah, take a
Wow.
long weekend.
Jesus.
Wow.
God.
That reminds me, I mean, we're talking about like fucking Psy Warfare here, which, hey, great band, did a split with Integrity, highly recommend. But that reminds me of that, like, not that we have time to get on a whole new subject, but that like virtual reality simulator where, we know how to program the human brain to suffer for 1,000 years in a span of 8 days.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like, we need to find out who got into this fender bender so we can charge their insurance for, $500 or $800 worth of body work. So we're going to tell somebody that they're a killer. We're going to tell somebody that they took a human life and make them suffer for the span of however long it takes for them to confess.
Yeah.
Good, normal, wholesome operation from our police department here. So it's a fantastic thing.
That's
we got
insane.
one last round, okay?
Let's hear it.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
2 cops received paid administrative leave. What did they do?
This is a trick question that is impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible for 2 cops to simultaneously get paid administrative leave.
I'm pretty sure this is a plot of some movie from the early 90s or so. And, they happen to be on administrative leave at the same time because, the head of the department's framing them and they're, total opposites in terms of personality.
No, we understand. You've seen Bad Boys for Life. I understand. Yeah, no.
I was going for something a little more comedic maybe, but sure, why not?
Did anyone see the new Bad Boys? Is it good?
Oh, I have not seen
No, I
it,
haven't,
but
yeah.
I assume it's absolute ridiculousness. And total propaganda.
There was some Fox News or something thing. Some conservative news outlet was like, "Oh yeah, Eddie Murphy's great in this new Bad Boys." And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's him. Yep.
So what do we think they did? I think maybe I got to think more about this. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I
No,
They
got-
no,
stacked
okay.
prisoners in a pyramid.
No.
And then one of them was able to take a picture of the other one in front of the pyramid.
Okay.
Gotcha.
My guess is
It was rush week during the prison.
Oh, God.
they both left their guns at a preschool. They may have been suspended for what they were doing at the preschool, but what they said
Oh,
that they were
no.
doing, what they said that they were suspending them for was for leaving their guns there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. And Tony, what did you decide to go with?
Tony wants to say that they were having sex with each other in the butt. They were
2
doing real
cops
sexy butt
having
stuff.
sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that one of them got suspended for turning the cameras off in the cell, and the other one got suspended for turning the cameras back on.
Okay. All right. Actually, this story requires a little bit of a wind up, so I'm just gonna, describe to y'all the situation. Okay. An Arizona woman was arrested because she had a warrant out for her for something like a speeding ticket or something fairly minor, and so she was detained. Now, during her incarceration, she said that a police officer raped her and that the sheriff's deputy sodomized her. When the Department of Public Safety used a rape kit to examine her for signs of sexual assault, she was notified that it would take several days to process. Weirdly enough, 3 days later, while in transport, she slipped out of her handcuffs, the belly chain, and ankle restraints, opened the rear door of the transport's Ford Explorer, and then died.
That makes total sense.
This game sucks.
Were they the ones transporting her?
No, they weren't, which is even more interesting. Because, I mean, that would mean that, like, cops would be, like, covering for each other, and that just never happens. Why would they have
been placed on administrative leave if it was, like, undergoing investigation? I mean, I guess that's what happens during investigation. Anyway,
that's wild.
Yeah, fuck the police. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just in pure unrelated news, I know that, y'all are out there in California, so maybe this will help warm your hearts a little bit. A presentation to explain why the LAPD did not investigate over 4,000 abuse reports was canceled for some reason.
For some reason.
You guys care to explain yourselves?
Well, okay, I think we can explain simply. All you have to do is go to youtube.com/Minion Death Cult, where you can find the our particular edit of the California Highway Patrol propaganda lip sync video.
It's
highly recommend watching this video. It has California Love in it, and it also has footage of the CHP beating a woman on the side of the road. There's also like cops really angry commenting in the comment section, and we of course like laughed at them.
That's always great. Yeah.
Call them pieces of shit. So yeah, highly recommend going to that Minion Death Cult. YouTube.com/Minion Death Cult. Sorry, I've been drinking whiskey for like 2 hours now.
Can I share a real quick cop story that I just heard? So I have this friend, this girlfriend of mine, and our biggest thing is that gets in the way of our friendship is that her dad's a cop, and she was telling me about when she was a kid. They had a canine. He wasn't supposed to bring it home, but they brought it home. So she had this canine when she was a kid, who was like at home was a regular ass dog that she like played with and all that. And one day he thought it would be funny to wake her up by giving the sit command to the dog.
No.
So the dog like mauled her in the bed, and it was probably so traumatizing for both her and the dog, who's like, I have to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
This motherfucker thought it'd be fun. He's like, I thought it would just like lightly bite you.
That's not
and
how.
It was like,
no, that's not how dogs work.
That's also not how dogs
canine units work. Fuck.
That have been trained for so long since birth to do this. Did it to his own daughter.
Jesus fucking
Did it to his own daughter. Yeah.
So like, when was the last time she saw him?
I mean, unfortunately, they're still in contact. Of course, things are a little weird, but did this happen when she was like 11? She was like a little kid. Yeah.
Jesus
and he was like,
Christ.
watch this funny joke. I'm going to have the dog wake her up, which is a great thing because I remember getting woken up by my dog, licking my face, being so cute.
Yeah, well,
That's because...
then maybe you should have, trained the dog with a command that is go lick instead of this is a bad person that you need to murder for me. Why would you even train your dog to have a sick command in the first place? Like that.
He was a canine unit.
No, this was a canine. Yeah. This is an actual cop dog.
Police dog.
He had an actual police dog. His actual police dog was also the family dog because he wasn't supposed to bring it home, but they convinced him to.
We talked about Lee Carter getting death threats. Did we talk about the cops threatening Lee Carter? Did we talk about the actual cops who some dumbass on Twitter was like, that's what you fucking get, you dirty socialist. You have much more to fear than just like threats of harm, et cetera, et cetera. And the guy had a picture of his dog as his profile pic. Turns out it was a canine unit.
Of course,
and they found out what sheriff's office that guy belonged to.
That's amazing. Yeah, these fucking idiots just don't think about anything.
Yeah. Well, if they did,
Well,
think
they don't
would
have
be cops.
to.
Yeah.
They-
exactly.
they-
yeah.
I mean,
Nothing's gonna
dog
happen
people
to that
never
guy.
do. You know, it's just
Yeah, we're the cat units. I'm sure those cops are very, very thoughtful and kind, and totally.
Big brained. They have lots of wrinkles in their gray matter. Cerebral cortexes just fire at godlike speed.
They track down perps by going. Pss, 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 pss. I hope that picks up on the mic at all.
Well, you have to. The thing with a perp is you have to know when they're like willing to come to you. You can't just call them at any random moment. You have to respect them as another being, and then you have to like see. Okay, they kind of want to come over here, so now I'm gonna call them, and then that's how you trick all your friends to thinking you have perp whisperer skills.
Yeah.
God. I'm pretty sure this is just every BBC detective show.
hello, I'm Dracula.
God.
Pip, mates. Gonna solve me a crime. It's me, Dracula. That's it.
This has been an amazing episode. Yeah, this has
absolutely.
also been a monster.
We're having
episode.
too much
Thank
fun.
y'all for sticking with us.
We have to cut you off now.
So, what have y'all got going on? What's happening in your world? What plugs are we talking about here?
Yeah, so Minion Death Cult, you can find us on any podcast app, I think, or miniondeathcult.com. We recently released an episode all about my experiences as a UPS driver having the literally most obnoxious helper in the world who was doing Jeff Dunham bits to himself while my headphones were in, my beanie was down, my hood was up. No. Yeah, there's live audio from that helper. That's the first half of the episode. The second half of the episode is about something that actually matters, which is the Moms for Housing initiative that's going on in Oakland, California right now. 4 moms occupied a empty home that was being held off the market by a speculative real estate company who just is, buying up property like everybody else, and like what is happening in Oakland right now. There are about 4 empty homes for every homeless person in Oakland right now. A group of moms who are homeless, living in shelters, decided to occupy this home as a statement, and we have our feelings about that, and we also have the conservative/liberal reaction to that, which is to be predicted. It is a heavy episode, front-loaded by my annoying experience with the Jeff Dunham guy. But otherwise, people have responded pretty positively to that episode. We 100% support Moms for Housing. We think that is the right way to go with this sort of movement, this sort of action.
Hell yeah.
Listen to Minion Death Cult. Thanks so much for having us on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for being
it's a
on.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything? You guys aren't like talking about going on tour again anytime soon? Maybe coming down to Texas?
Yeah, come to Brazil. Yeah.
That would be great. We had an amazing time on tour with Street Fight
awesome.
Radio. We would love to do it again. We found out we're kind of good at it. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is your first time," and we were like, "Yeah, we're total virgins, baby." And
they were like, "Yeah, you guys were like
was...
tight. You guys were real tight up there."
So that's what they mean when they're talking about a tight 5, huh?
Yeah.
I've had a lot of work hours. I've been working like 61 hours a week, so there is more content available on patreon.com/Minion Death Cult. We're releasing episodes there every single week, regardless of how grueling and annoying my actual work week is. We will be back into the swing of things, but yeah, that Moms for Housing episode will be available this week in the main feed for everybody to listen to.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, what are our plugs, boys?
We got nothing. We pre-recorded this shit now. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Just pay attention.
Right.
Pay attention to me rambling for like 30 seconds at the end of this episode. Deuces. Thanks for listening to another episode of Psychic Dolphin Garage. Check out our link tree in the show notes so you can join our Discord, watch us on Twitch, and find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Word of mouth is still the best way for us to bring this weird leftist show to as many people as we possibly can. So if you like the episode, please share it with someone. Anyone. Just one other person at your school or office or parole hearing who you think might like what we do. We trust your judgment. Go ahead and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dolphin Garage. Our music is provided by Amoeba Crew. Find them on Twitter at Amoeba Crew. You can find the link to their YouTube page in our episode description.